Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Don Fisher. It's a historic day in Montana as President Donald Trump makes his third visit to the state. He will host a rally in Missoula in just about an hour at Minuteman Aviation, which will be the first time in 64 years that a sitting president has set foot in the Garden City. He'll be campaigning for Republican U.S. Senate candidate Matt Rosendale, who is hoping to unseat Democratic incumbent Senator Jon Tester. We have staff stationed across Missoula and bring you live coverage of this event with reporters at Minuteman Aviation and outside the venue where supporters have been lining up throughout the day, and we'll bring you coverage from wheels down to wheels up of Air Force One. President Trump departed Joint Base Andrews in Washington, D.C. from Missoula just after 2 this afternoon. And the Missoula stop is the first of 3 Make America Great Again rallies in western states, with stops in Arizona and Nevada later this week. And there is a very long line ahead of the president.
We are live at Minuteman Aviation right now, where they just finished up with a prayer to kick off this event. This has been a very festive crowd. Thousands of people were lined up early this morning to make sure they got a seat to either campaign or celebrate President Trump, or just be here for a historic event. We have not had a president in Missoula in the past 64 years, so some folks are here for that. The mood here has been very festive. Lots of cheers went up earlier. Matt Rosendale walked through the crowd shaking hands. We know also that Steve Daines is here as well, and we do anticipate Air Force One landing shortly. What's exciting for the folks here is that generally they're in an off-site venue and they don't get to see the plane land. It's going to land behind us, so they're going to be a part of that as well.
Well, as you mentioned, Jill, it's definitely a festive atmosphere, but this is a political event. This is a political rally. We have 2.5 weeks left until the election. People are already voting in Montana, and the main reason that the president is here is to promote Matt Rosendale, the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, against Jon Tester. That's the big race. $40 million has been spent on it so far. But you also mentioned Steve Daines, but Greg Gianforte, who's running for Congress, he's going to be here tonight as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if the president mentions him as well. There really isn't that much suspense here. We're going to hear a lot of political talk and a lot of boosting of Mr. Rosendale. Maybe we'll hear something new, but I think probably not too much.
As long as there's an opportunity for people to cheer and hold up their signs in a rally atmosphere, that's what they really like, and I think he's going to give them an opportunity to show their enthusiasm.
For the national anthem, Montana singer-songwriter.
It's kind of an awkward time for us to be doing this. Let's toss it over to Elizabeth Transu.
Yeah, hey guys, now let's put politics aside for just 1 second and think about how rare it is for a president to visit Missoula. Now, we've had our fair share of rallies. I mean, Bernie Sanders came to Missoula when he was running for president. Barack Obama came, and even Hillary Clinton made an appearance in the Garden City. But MTN did a little digging, and we were able to find out that the last sitting president in Missoula was Dwight Eisenhower in 1954. And then years past, President Harry Truman in 1950, and in 1909, William Taft came. Both of those just stopping by from a train. So yes, it's very rare for a president to come to Missoula. President Donald Trump, it's his third appearance in Big Sky Country. First he was in Great Falls in July, then he went to Billings in September, and now he's going to be the 4th sitting president in Missoula. I'm going to send it back to you guys, but it's definitely one for the books.
And again, we apologize that we are talking over the national anthem. It is being performed by Shane Klaus of Missoula, who always does a wonderful job, but this does indicate the start of this rally is close at hand.
And so the rally's going to start in a few minutes, and the president will be here about 6:30. He's supposed to speak, and we'll get going. So back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you guys. And while supporters of President Trump gather for the evening's event, others are voicing their protest. One of the most visible signs of protest can be seen high above Missoula on Mount Jumbo, where anti-Trump protesters added some extra letters to the L. The word liar is now spelled out on Mount Jumbo. And hundreds of Missoulians also gathered to stand unified against what they call the message of hate spread by President Trump. Missoula Rises and members of the community set out to rally, march, and connect. Jonathan Ambarian continues our coverage now live from the protest. Jonathan?
Welcoming your United States Senator Steve Daines.
Trump's hate rally. It started down at Playfair Park earlier today, and now people are marching down the street here. They're going out to the fairgrounds to surround the polls out there. This event was organized by Missoula Rises. It was, organizers say it was an attempt to counteract what they've called hateful rhetoric that's come from President Trump in relation to his visit here. Now, what organizers have said is that this was an attempt to get people to channel their energy into action, and in this case, they're talking about voting. Throughout the day, they had a bus carrying people down to the fairgrounds where they could register to vote. They could turn in absentee ballots. So right now, they're going out towards the fairgrounds. They're planning on standing out there and surrounding the polls, and that's going to be going on for the next half hour or so. In Missoula, I'm Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Jonathan, and not all of the action is contained to the Minuteman hangar. The crowd has spilled over to the area outside the venue, and Connor McCauley joins us now live with our portion of that coverage.
Thank
Connor?
God Justice Kavanaugh is on the U.S. Supreme Court.
Thanks, guys. We are down here where people are lining up to board buses to go down to Minute Aviation to see the president talk here in Missoula. A lot of people have talked about how excited they are to be around a lot of like-minded people where they can conversate with themselves in peace. They've also said that they're excited to see a sitting president come to Montana and especially to Missoula. A lot of people didn't think that they would actually see the president come here to Missoula. Also, they say they're excited for their family members to see a sitting president. A lot of parents have said that they are excited for their kids to have the opportunity to see one. They're not sure when they'll get that opportunity again. But the big main theme down here has been the support for Matt Rosendale and his chances to unseat Jon Tester in the upcoming Senate election. The line behind me continues behind and wraps around, and hopefully everybody will get down there to see the president here in an hour. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Connor. And up next, I'll be joined by political analyst Lee Banville, who gives us some insight on the president's visit. And we're awaiting the arrival of Air Force One in Missoula. We'll have a more comprehensive coverage of the president's visit next on KPAX.
I am Kathleen Williams, and I approve this message.
This Graham Cassidy bill that was in the Senate, I think that's right.
That's Congressman Greg Gianforte supporting a bill that would increase premiums for older Americans.
I think that's right.
A bill that will undercut protections for people with pre-existing conditions.
I think that's right.
A bill the Montana Hospital Association says will jeopardize many lives.
I think that's right.
Greg Gianforte doesn't listen to us. He doesn't understand working families, and he's wrong for Montana.
You deserve a senator who doesn't just talk like he's from Montana. You deserve a senator who actually votes like he's from Montana.
Democrats tried every dirty trick and sleazy smear to stop Brett Kavanaugh, and Jon Tester voted with them, not Montana. Now they want to impeach President Trump and Justice Kavanaugh. Will Tester stand with us or with them? You already know the answer. NRSC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Jon Tester, and I approve this message.
Marilyn Matt
just doesn't get what's important in Montana. After moving here from back east,
Matt Rosendale racked up one of the worst records for veterans in our legislature.
Rosendale voted against funding for the Columbia Falls Vets Home.
Voted against the Veterans Home in Butte.
Voted against home assistance for veterans and Gold Star families.
Even opposed scholarships for Montana Purple Heart recipients.
Montana veterans deserve way better than Marilyn Matt Rosendale.
Let Gardner's RV show you why now is the time to buy your next RV. It's the 2018 model year clearance, and the deals are unbelievable. New Jayco J Feather 22 RV for only $19,999. That's a savings of over $10,000. Save over $51,000 on this new Winnebago Sunstar Class A motorhome with full body paint and a bath and a half. Get down to Gardner's and save big on your new RV. Plus, free storage until spring, 90 days to first payment, and of course, all with Gardner's exclusive RV warranty forever. Lifetime warranty.
Arts and Education is brought to you by Allegiance.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 530 News continues on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
And welcome back. We are hearing that Air Force One may be landing soon, so we'll keep our ear on that. And in the meantime, I'm joined now by Lee Banville, an associate professor of journalism at the University of Montana. We asked him to be a part of our political analysis session today. Welcome, Lee. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so earlier in the broadcast, you probably saw all the protests going around throughout Missoula. What does this kind of speak to in the light of Missoula usually leans a little bit left. So why does President Trump choose Missoula to come on a visit here?
So of course, I'm not a White House employee, but I'm going to tell you that probably this has a lot more to do with the market that Missoula serves in the broadcast arena. So it reaches all the way up to the Flathead and all the way down to Raleigh, and those are two counties that are really critical to the Republican turnout effort that they're trying to get this election. So it may have as much to do with getting people excited throughout western Montana as it does Missoula itself.
Definitely. And in this race, Senator Tester has gained a major advantage when it comes to funds raised for his campaign.
Yeah.
Do you think that that plays into President Trump's emphasis to get out here as many times as possible, not just him, but also his son, Donald Trump Jr., and the Vice President, Mike Pence?
Well, I mean, Tester has almost 4 times the amount of money as Rosendale has had in this campaign, and so he's had this innate advantage when it comes to advertising and paid media. And so all of these visits by Donald Trump and Mike Pence, as you mentioned, what that does is it actually grants Rosendale a lot of free media, because now we're all talking about the president coming, and we're all spending time listening to the messages that the president and Matt Rosendale have to give to voters. And so it's a way of actually really leveling the playing field, and it's actually, I think, been fairly effective in sort of boosting Rosendale's efforts to get his message out.
Yeah, and when you see these visits and the emphasis that is being put on that you alluded to, do you think that there are those voters that are kind of on the fence, or maybe were possibly thinking about voting for Tester that could be swayed by these kind of events?
Maybe. I think this actually has a lot more to do with getting people to turn out to vote. Because at the end of the day, especially in an election like this where there is no president on the ticket, there's really only a couple of big name races, it's about getting your voters to turn up or to turn in their absentee ballot. And so these events, especially this one happening really on an election day. I mean, every day is an election day because we're mailing in ballots all the time. This gets people excited at a time when they can act on it right away. They can go out and they can turn in their ballot. Or as we saw the protesters down at Playfair, encouraging people to turn in those absentee ballots. They're all trying to use this event to get their voters out.
Yeah, and in the last visit, especially the visit at Great Falls, the president really slammed Senator Tester over his vote and his vetting of U.S. Secretary Veterans Affairs, Ronnie Jackson, that he was trying to get in there. Do you think that anything like that comes up again here tonight, even though it's been a little while in the past? And what other national headlines might we hear about tonight?
So both the president and Matt Rosendale are trying to nationalize this election. They're trying to make this about the bigger picture, the sort of national debates that we're hearing about when it comes to Brett Kavanaugh or the votes on the tax cuts. And so they're really trying to turn this into a national conversation. And really, John Tester wants this to be about Montana. And so what we're seeing is, I bet you'll hear Ronnie Jackson, I bet you'll hear Brett Kavanaugh, I bet you'll hear about tax cuts and immigration reform and all of those things again, because they really want to hit those national messages.
Yeah, and in those conversations, especially with the Jackson vetting, the president said he was really going to come after Senator Tester, and he seems to have really put all his cards out on the table here with all these visits to the state. And what do you think? Are you surprised by that?
Well, I mean, I think that it sort of builds on itself, because not only do I really think that actually President Trump wants John Tester to lose, it's now become partly a campaign about the president, right? So if John Tester wins, there are going to be a lot of stories written about how, Donald Trump won Montana by 20 points, and he threw all this stuff against John Tester, and John Tester won. Is that a loss for the president? Is that it's going to hurt him politically? And they really don't want that story. So they're really throwing the kitchen sink at John Tester to try and make sure that he doesn't get reelected. But, will it work? Will actually all these rallies that get people to turn up at these events actually equal people going and casting a ballot for Matt Rosendale? That we're going to have to see. I mean, it's a big step, but it's getting, it's one that's smaller every time, because now they can try to turn all those people who go to Minuteman Aviation into voters today if they can.
All right. Well, we are keeping our eye out for the Air Force One to land. It should be here shortly. In the meantime, we will go to break, and we'll be back shortly with more coverage coming up here on KPAX. And welcome back. A lot of excitement out there today for President Trump, but also the weather is always important.
I know.
So
know.
More nice weather for his visit.
He's going to get a great view of western Montana today. We've got some fantastic weather, obviously, in the region. And the good news is that is here to stay for at least the extended forecast. We might be talking some changes by maybe that Wednesday, Thursday, perhaps even Friday timeframe of next week. Before we get to those details, a big thank you to Vicki for this great shot. Her view of the Missions, the backside of the Mission Mountains from the Swan Valley this morning. Vicki, if you're watching, thank you very much. And this one taken today from Desert Mountain, this outside Columbia Falls, looking towards Glacier National Park from our friend Patty. Keep those photos coming. All you need to do is find us on social media and post away. We'll try our best to put them up and on air for everybody to see. Across the lower 48, another day of very wet weather for the south central United States, where we continue to see scattered showers and thunderstorms. The rest of the country pretty quiet, including the Pacific Northwest, where we have our large dominating ridge of high pressure, and that's going to stay in place here for the extended forecast. Now today a little different from what we've seen the last couple of days. Some mid to upper level clouds streaming in from the northwest. They're not rain clouds, they're just giving us some filtered sunshine, but we are continuing to see those temperatures above average too for this time of year. This was Polson earlier today from our St. Joseph Medical Center iCam. Of course, you've got those colors still popping out there. Notice too our view a little hazy, and that is due to the ridge of high pressure keeping those pollutants and particulates kind of trapped down in the valley locations. Our live look right now to the west from the St. Patrick Hospital iCam, 62 degrees, wind calm. Another good indication that high pressure is in the region. You don't usually see a lot of wind with ridges of high pressure. This is our high temperature for the day and 5 degrees above average. We bottomed out this morning at 25 degrees, which is 7 degrees below normal. Kalispell, though, 17 for that morning low, 12 degrees below average, the coldest we've seen so far this season, and the coldest since March 13th earlier this year. 64 right now in Sealy Lake, 58 for Kalispell. Troy, Polson checking in with 56. We've got 57 in Columbia Falls, and our Knoxon weather spotter checking in with 59 degrees. A lot of nice temperatures, though, across the Treasure State. 60s and 70s average this time of year, folks, mid to almost upper 50s. So this is some really nice stuff. This is a look at our 24-hour temperature change. This means we're 2 degrees warmer right now in Missoula compared to this exact same time yesterday. So a lot of folks seeing that warm up continue, and we will too the next few days. Overnight tonight, though, another cold one will range from the mid-20s to maybe low 30s with mainly clear skies. Tomorrow, the extended forecast for us throughout the day. High pressure still sticking around. It's going to be that dominant feature that we see in the area again, not only tomorrow, but the next subsequent days, as a matter of fact, into the first half of next week. So a lot of sunshine expected yet again tomorrow with temperatures above average. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say this over and over in a different way. We're going to see sunshine and highs in the 60s. Might get a couple of low 70s in the mix as well. And broken record continues as we move from Friday to Saturday. High pressure still over the northern Rockies. This weekend, though, we do happen to have those temperatures rising just a little bit more as that ridge starts to shift off to the east and allows a southerly to southwesterly flow. So that'll kick those temperatures up just a little bit more. So we'll be pushing 70 on Saturday in Missoula, perhaps even on Sunday. We should be there for the Bitterroot Valley, which will be flirting with record highs. There is the change by the middle of next week. Temperatures closer to normal, a few more clouds, and a greater chance of seeing some precipitation.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Coming up, a Grizzly joins a prestigious list, and Big Sky voters expect big things from Montana basketball. Plus, the pressure turns up a notch at high school soccer playoff games. Derek shows us who won in the final minutes next.
Here's the latest Market Watch from MTN News.
And let's send it out one last time to Jill Valley and Mike Dennison live from the venue. All right, we'll get to them here in a moment. We are just waiting to hear. We're seeing that it's getting really close here, but we've kind of been speculating here for the last hour or so, really thinking that it was going to come around 5:20, then 6:10, so we're not exactly sure, but let's move it back out to Jill and Mike, who are at the venue now, and see if we can grab them real quick.
But how are we going to know when we're going to finish up? Okay. Okay.
All right, this is Jill Valley. We're listening to some Billie Jean, but we're also watching Air Force One make its approach to the Missoula airport. The attention of the people on the bleachers is completely behind us because they're watching the plane as it begins to land. Now, this is a special treat for these people because most of the time rally goers are in a different arena and they never see this part of the president's trip. This time they're going to actually watch the plane land and taxi and presumably be able to watch the president come out of the airplane. So in that regard, this is something unique and special for the thousands of people who have come here. And I've seen that airplane, as Mike, you probably have too. It's impressive. It's very big. You could run the country from that thing. And it's about to land at the Missoula International Airport.
Right. It's a big deal. You know, there's a lot of people outside as well. And I wonder how many more. We got about 4,000 or 5,000 maybe in here, and there's probably 2,000 outside. We'll be able to see the plane. And if there's any doubt that this is a political rally, I think that was dispelled right off the bat here with the speech by Senator Days and Representative Ian Forte. We heard a lot of the themes we're probably going to hear tonight from the president. He's going to be talking about the economy. He's going to be talking about immigration. He's going to be talking about building that wall. And also we heard Ian Forte talking about the leftist mobs, another theme that is all kind of gin up the boat and get people out the boat, asking them if they're going to get out the boat with Ian Forte and Matt Rosendale.
People love to rally. They love to yell "lock her up," which they've done. They like to yell "build the wall," which they did. We'll probably hear that a few more times during the president's speech, because for a lot of these people, this is a party atmosphere. It's an experience that they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to participate in. I'm not sure how many people were unable to get into the venue, but we are packed in here pretty tightly. The people in the VIP section, the bleachers behind the president, all have their eyes trained on the sky. I can't see the plane yet myself, but hopefully you guys can through our live camera on our satellite truck. It will be a pretty impressive sight as it starts to taxi in. And even more exciting for these folks if they get to see the president emerge from the plane.
That's right. But also, they reminded people why they're here. They're not here just here to see the president. They're here to get out the boat and tell their friends to go out and vote, and reminding them that don't sit in your hands when it comes around election 2.5 weeks from now.
And I've mentioned this before, that we haven't had a president in Missoula in over 60 years, so I know a lot of people are here just for that experience. I actually talked to a woman earlier this week and asked her, are you going to go to the rally? And she said she was because she supports the president. However, she did not necessarily think John Tester was doing that bad of a job. So, where there's a lot of cheering for Matt Rosendale, Election Day will be their true test of if rallies like this being the third one in Montana will have done what the president has set out to do, and that is get Matt Rosendale in the U.S. Senate.